Welcome, my friends. What if I told you the man who created Hyundai, one of the biggest car companies in the world, once worked on muddy fields with no shoes, never went to college, and was so poor he couldn't afford a train ticket? So he ran 120 kilometers on foot just to chase a dream. This is not fiction. This is real. Today you will hear the story of a boy who had nothing and built everything. He had no money, no education, no power, but he had one thing that changed his life, a decision to never stop trying. This story is not only about business, it is about how to fight when life hits you hard, how to believe when nobody believes in you, and how to stand alone when the world shuts the door. Let's go back to the year 1915. We are in a small, poor village in North Korea, before Korea was divided. A boy named Chung Ju-yung is born into a family of farmers. They grow rice, they live in a straw roof house, they eat simple food, sometimes not enough. He is the eldest son, so he must work in the fields every day. No shoes, no toys, no time to dream. From age 7, he carries water, cuts grass for cows, and helps plant rice. His father is strict and believes in one rule: work hard, don't dream. A farmer's son must become a farmer. But Chung is different. Even as a child, he stares at the mountains and thinks, is this all there is to life? Around age 14, he dreams of studying, learning math, and becoming a teacher. One day he secretly leaves home and walks far to enroll in school, but his father finds out and drags him back. Stop dreaming, his father says. Dreams don't feed hungry mouths. That is the first time life tells him, stay small.
But something inside him refuses. A few years later, he tries again. This time he wants to go to Seoul, the city of opportunity. But he doesn't have enough money for a train ticket. So what does he do? He runs. Yes, 120 kilometers on foot. No phone, no food, only belief that there is more beyond the rice fields. When he reaches Seoul, he finds work at a construction site. He works with bricks and cement from sunrise to sunset. His hands bleed, his back hurts, but every night he tells himself, one day I will not just build houses, I will build something much bigger. After months of hard work, he saves enough money to start something small. With a partner, he opens a tiny rice shop. It is his first taste of business. But one day, his partner steals all the money and disappears. Chung loses everything. Many people would return to the village, but not him. He wipes his tears and says, money can be taken, but not my fire, not my vision. He starts over from zero again. He takes any job he can find, carrying bricks, delivering salt, fixing bicycles, cleaning shoes, and he learns from life. In the 1940s, he opens a small construction business. He repairs roads and bridges, and even the government starts noticing his work. Korea is broken and poor after years of occupation and war. Many people see ruins, but Chung sees future roads. In 1946, he officially starts his company and names it Hyundai, which means modern in Korean. Think about that. A boy who grew up barefoot in rice fields starts a company called Modern. He doesn't only want to build roads, he wants to build the future.
Then the Korean War begins. Cities burn. People suffer. For many businesses, it is the end. But for Chung, it becomes a beginning. He doesn't run away. He looks at destruction and thinks, the country will need roads again. The country will need buildings again, and I will help rebuild. His workers are not just laborers. They are rebuilding their own homeland. Slowly, the name Hyundai becomes a name people trust, because when everyone is afraid, Hyundai keeps moving. In the 1960s, the government gives him a challenge. We need a bridge over the Han River. Can you do it? Hyundai has never built a bridge before. Other companies laugh. They say he has no engineering degree and no experience. But Chung says, if we keep saying we can't, will never learn how to do it. He hires engineers, studies blueprints, visits bridges, and stands by the river every day, watching and correcting. After only 4 months, the bridge is completed. The same people who laughed now stand in silence. A rice farmer's son has built one of Korea's most important bridges. After that, bigger projects come: highways, dams, ports, shipyards. But Chung is still not satisfied. He remembers being poor with no shoes. He wants transformation. He says, we cannot just copy the world, we must create. Then he makes another shocking decision. Hyundai will build ships. People laugh again. Korea has no experience. But Chung smiles and says, then we'll learn, we'll start, we'll try. He meets British shipbuilders, studies shipyards, buys land in Ulsan, and says this place will become the heart of Korea's industrial future. By 1974, Hyundai launches its first major ship and becomes one of the top shipbuilders in the world. By the end of the 1970s, he has built roads, bridges, buildings, ports, and ships. But there is still one thing missing: cars. Korea imports cars from other countries. Chung asks a dangerous question: why can't Korea make its own car? No one has an answer, so he decides to do it. He says, we've built roads, now we must build the wheels that will run on them. His team panics. They say they don't have the knowledge, the engineers, or the tools. Chung replies, then we will learn. We will build the tools. We will train the engineers. He knows he needs experience, so he flies to Britain and meets George Turnbull, a top engineer. Turnbull is surprised. Why would a Korean businessman without a car company want him? But Chung doesn't beg. He simply shows his vision. He hires Turnbull and other British engineers and brings them to Korea. They arrive and see a country that still has dirt roads in many places. They wonder, how will we build a car here? But Chung gives them one thing: belief. He tells them, you've built cars before, but now you are building history. The work is hard. They fail many times. Engines don't fit. Parts break. The design is too heavy. Some companies don't want to give them materials. But every time something fails, Chung doesn't walk away. He asks one question: what did we learn? He believes failure is not the opposite of success. It is the path to success. In 1975, after long nights and years of effort, the Hyundai Pony is born, Korea's first national car. It is small and simple, not a luxury car, but proudly Korean. When the Pony is unveiled, the crowd goes silent. Then people clap, cheer, and cry because they feel one message: we can do it. But the real battle begins when Hyundai tries to sell cars outside Korea. Big global companies laugh again. They call Korean cars toys. Hyundai starts small, sells to different countries, and then enters the U.S. market in 1986 with an affordable model. At first, sales are strong, but later, problems appear. Customers complain. Newspapers call Hyundai low quality. Sales drop. Respect vanishes. Chung stands on the edge of disaster again. His team wants to stop, but Chung says no. He says, if we are not willing to improve, we do not deserve success. He rebuilds quality checks, materials, and testing. Year after year, Hyundai improves, and slowly the world starts to see Hyundai not as cheap, but as reliable and well-built. As Korea grows, Hyundai becomes more than a company. It becomes hope. It creates jobs and supports families. Even in his 70s, Chung still visits work sites with a safety helmet, talking to workers, asking questions, making notes. Because deep inside, he still sees himself as that barefoot boy who once cleaned bricks for coins. Then, in the late 1990s, he shocks the world again. He announces he will travel to North Korea. It is dangerous and politically frozen, but he believes Koreans are one people. In 1998, he crosses the border not with weapons, but with 500 cows. He says North Korea once took cows from his family's land during the war, so now in peace,
He returns the favor, not with anger, but with forgiveness. News channels show trucks filled with cows crossing the DMZ, led by an old man in a suit. It is powerful and unforgettable.
In his final years, his body becomes weaker, but his mind stays sharp. He writes thoughts and plans. He reminds people, never be satisfied with what you've built. Keep asking, what can we build next? In 2001, at the age of 85, Chung Ju-yung passes away peacefully. The boy from the village is gone, but what he left behind cannot be buried. And now here is the twist that few people knew. A long time before he died, Chung quietly kept one small thing in his desk, an old train ticket. Not a new ticket, not a fancy one, but a simple ticket like the one he could not afford as a young boy. One rainy evening, he visited a small station without cameras. He saw a teenage boy standing there, holding coins in his palm, counting again and again, but still not enough. The boy looked down, ashamed, ready to walk home in the dark. Chung walked to him and asked softly, "Why are you standing here?" The boy whispered, "Sir, I want to go to the city to work, but I don't have enough money." Chung did not say, "I am the founder of Hyundai." He did not give a speech. He simply bought a ticket, placed it in the boy's hand, and then placed that old ticket on top of it like a quiet promise. The boy looked confused. Chung smiled and asked one simple question, the same question he used to ask himself when life said no. "Have you tried?" The boy nodded with tears in his eyes. He took the train that night. Years later, after Chung passed away, a young engineer came to Hyundai wearing a plain suit and carrying a worn notebook. On the first page he had written one line, "Have you tried?" In the back of the notebook he kept two tickets, one new, one old, because one ticket moved his body, but the other ticket moved his life. And that is the real legacy of Chung Ju-yung. Even if you were born with nothing, if you keep moving, if you keep building, one day the world will believe in your story.
Before you leave, I want to ask you one simple question. Have you tried? Not did you win, not are you ready, just have you tried, even one more time? If this story gave you hope, please like, subscribe, and comment, "I will try," below. See you in the next story on English Story Mindset.